everybody. I'm Margaret Williams. I'm the Dean of the Rawls College of Business. I think folks are still filtering in here, but we'd like to go ahead and get started. We are very excited to have our first ever Rawls Parents Council Town Hall. So appreciate you joining us today in the middle of your work day. Many of you have submitted questions, so I hope you find this to be a good use of your time, and we certainly welcome you. So we are recording this session because there are folks who couldn't join us today. So the recording will be available. Probably, I'm going out on a limb here, Julie Doss, on a Rawls Parents Council website. Maybe? Okay.
Fingers crossed. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So we're getting the website up and running, and if you or anyone, well, I guess anyone would like to view this later, that's where you can find it. This is a regular Zoom meeting, so you are also welcome to ask questions via chat, or if you can raise your hand, we can call on you that way too. We'll do our best to keep up with the questions that come in that way. So I would like to start by thanking Joyce Zachman, who of the Texas Tech Parents Association, who has been very helpful in terms of us being able to reach out to you. So Joyce, is Joyce on the call? Okay, Joyce, thank you.
I am, yes, you're welcome.
There you are.
Thanks.
Thank you very
Privilege.
much for helping us get this organized and helping us reach out to folks. When we came up with the idea, Joyce was the first person we contacted, and she said, well, this had been a goal of hers to create councils within the colleges. So we're really glad to be able to help you with that initiative and appreciate your help with this today. So I would like to introduce some other folks before we get going. And that is Julie Doss. Julie is the Senior Director for Engagement and External Relations, I believe. And you have seen communications from Julie. She is the person who makes all of this work behind the scenes and also in front of the scenes on Zoom. She is now affectionately referred to as our Zoom queen. So Julie Doss, thank you for your help. And in a few minutes, I will introduce Julie Meyer, who is our inaugural chair of the Rawls Parents Council, and I'll introduce her to you in a minute. There are some folks joining me today because y'all asked some really detailed and difficult questions, so we needed a team to respond. So I want to introduce Adrienne Carnes, who is our Senior Director for Undergraduate Services. Adrienne and her team, everybody, all the staff on this call have been working so hard over the past 13 and a half months now to keep things going and serve our students. So Adrienne was here to answer questions. Barry Broughton is our Senior Director for the Career Management Center. A lot of you had questions about placement and what students can do to prepare to get jobs, so we're excited to have Barry joining us. Madison Proctor is our lead recruiter who's here to answer questions. Is Dennis Arnett on the call? Okay, Dennis is our Associate Dean for Administration and Undergraduate Programs. So Dennis oversees a lot of the work related to serving our undergraduate students, which most of you are here today to discuss. I think that's it in terms of the introductions. So when we first came up with this idea, we thought, okay, who's a parent who has been engaged with Rawls, who has a passion for Texas Tech, and who has a history of jumping in and saying yes and getting involved every time we ask. And we thought of Julie Meyer. So the very first, true to form, the very first conversation we had with Julie, she said, this is a great idea. I would love to do it. In addition to being an alum of the college and having a very successful career in banking, Julie has served on our Rawls Advisory Council, and she is also currently a Rawls parent. So Julie Meyer, we always have to keep track of our Julies. I will hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Dean Williams, and hello to everyone out there in Raiderland. As Dean Williams said, my name is Julie Meyer. I'm a 1983 graduate from the College of Business. My degree was in finance, and I've spent the last 37 years in a very successful banking career, currently the president of Independent Financial for our Flower Mound location. I have had 3 kids attend Texas Tech, along with many cousins and nephews. So I definitely am a Red Raider through and through. And I don't let my kids say, can I go to another college? If they want it paid for, they will be at Texas Tech, period, end of story. So we've had fun with that in the family. As the Dean mentioned, I'm currently an emeritus member of the Rawls Advisory Council. I currently serve on the Texas Tech School of Banking Board, as well as the Rawls Excellence in Banking Program Board as well. And now I get to serve as your chairman of the new Parents Council, which I am very, very excited about. The primary purpose of the Rawls Parents Council is to serve as an opportunity for parents of current business students to connect with the college, and to the primary goal for that is to foster communication and build relationships. So in thinking about that, we really kind of came up with 6 areas that we thought initially that the Parents Council could serve Rawls, and obviously this is all subject to continue to change as we grow, but we felt like these first 6 areas were areas that we could serve in, and that would be acting as a liaison between the parents and the college, providing information and insight to current and prospective parents, speaking and serving as a resource at college events, studying issues and providing guidance to the dean and the college leadership, contributing to the Rawls Parents Council newsletter, and assisting with undergraduate and graduate recruitment by making phone calls, sending postcards, and attending or hosting events. So we felt like those were kind of the first 6 areas that we could really kind of focus in on. And with that, we also wanted to come up with some benefits for parents that join the Parents Council. So we are still working on those to be determined, but I will tell everyone on the call today, there's going to certainly be some exclusive benefits for being a member of the Rawls Parents Council. So stay tuned, and more to come on that. The good news is everyone who's registered on the call today, you are automatically on our email distribution for future correspondence. So you will be getting that information from us as more information comes out about the Parents Council, how you can serve, and the benefits for being a member. There is only one requirement for you to be a member of the Parents Council, and that is to join the Texas Tech Parents Association and do the ambassador training, because with that, you are now going to be an ambassador for the Rawls College of Business. So there is a number of trainings throughout the year. It's a Saturday morning on a Zoom call, and I believe Julie Doss is going to put that link in our Zoom information chat room. And I will tell you, just so you can jot it down, the next training is scheduled for Saturday, May the 22nd, and I believe that's at 10. Joyce, correct me if I'm wrong. So that is the only requirement to being a member of the council, is joining the Parents Association and taking the ambassador training, and then letting me or Julie Doss know that you've done that training, and then you will be an exclusive member of the Parents Council with exclusive membership benefits, and we're going to grow this group and do great things for the Rawls College of Business. And with that, I'm going to toss it back to Dean Williams and let her get into the main presentation of today. Thank you, Dean Williams.
Great. Thank you, Julie. Wonderful overview. And I would also add that we are just starting out with this. And so ideas you have for how this council could be helpful to you, things we might consider that you haven't heard mentioned yet, please chime in, because our purpose is to serve you. So I would just like to give a quick overview of some of, I guess, the state of the college as we are finishing our 3rd semester under these pandemic situations. One of the things that has been a strength of Texas Tech. I think since COVID started, our enrollment has continued to grow as a university. And Rawls is a very big part of that. So this spring, we have over 5,500 students in the Rawls College of Business. That's an undergrad and graduate, which is a record for the college. If we look at where we were a year ago, we are up 11% in the undergraduate program from last spring. So this growth is something, and I think this is important for parents to hear and for you to share with other folks. We are not going to be able to continue to grow at that rate. So one of the things that means is if you have a student who's interested in doing an internal transfer into the business school, I recommend that you have them talk to their advisor right away and do that as soon as possible, because we're going to have a real challenge we're not going to be able to continue to grow. So we're going to have a real challenge with managing that enrollment going forward. So it's very good news for the university and for the college. And I understand it does potentially present some challenges that I know many of you have questions about. We have also, during that period of time, grown our graduate enrollment nearly 50% over the last 4 years. That is by design, and most of that growth in graduate programs has occurred online. So we began an online MBA. We have an online program in data science. We have an online program as Masters of Science in Marketing Research and Analytics. And that's part of our strategy because we needed to expand our base of graduate students beyond Lubbock. And there are two ways to do that. One is to go online, and the other is to expand to different geographical locations. So we're now offering our professional MBA in Rockwall and in Marble Falls. So we are expanding the geographic footprint of our graduate programs virtually and physically. And that's a lot of what's responsible for that growth. So that's a good situation for the college to be in. When I talk to other deans across the country, they're jealous of the fact that we have such a great economy here in Texas. People want to move to Texas, therefore people want to come to Texas Tech University, and it's a positive situation for us to be in. With respect to COVID, as you know from speaking with your students, most likely, Spring 20 was the big adventure where we all had to pivot very quickly and move to a virtual environment. We are working our way back towards doing more face-to-face. So this spring, 43% of our classes in Rawls are either face-to-face or what we call hybrid or alternating attendance. So if it's a Tuesday, Thursday class, one half of the class would be face-to-face on Tuesday, one half of the class would be face-to-face on Thursday. 43% of our classes are either face-to-face or alternating attendance. So we have 57% that are online. That is higher than the percentage for the overall university. And the reason why is what I just explained to you. It has to do with enrollment. So when our classrooms are at 1/3 capacity, we can't serve the students that we have with 1/3 capacity. So we were forced to do a lot online and offer classes outside the building, which of course the students would much prefer to be in Rawls, but we just didn't have classrooms that were large enough. And that was a challenge across the university. So fall 2021, I know I'm the same as every single person on this call, hoping that we get back to normal as soon as we possibly can. Currently, the plan for Texas Tech and for Rawls is to have our percentage of classes that are face-to-face match what we were doing pre-COVID. So we've always had about 10 to 12% of our classes that have been offered online. So that's our plan for the fall. Classrooms will be at 100% capacity. Right now, face masks are required. We're going to have to see, where we are in August. As I've told the faculty throughout this process, I think planning for fall 2021 has been the biggest challenge yet, because we hope that we will be in a situation where our day-to-day experiences on campus can be very much what they were pre-COVID. And we still, there's still some uncertainty about that, but we're working very hard to make that happen. I think I'd like to, at this point, move to answering some of your questions, but there's one, I think, very exciting bit of news that I would like to share before I do that. So our college is the Jerry S. Rawls College of Business Administration, and Jerry Rawls made a gift of $25 million to the college 20 years ago as an endowment to support the work of the college. That was transformational for our college. It was transformational for Texas Tech. We have stayed engaged, of course, involved with Mr. Rawls. And this spring, he has funded what we are calling the Jerry S. Rawls Excellence in Undergraduate Teaching Award Program. This will recognize each year 2 full-time faculty who teach undergraduate students, as well as 2 part-time instructors and doctoral students that recognize and recognize them for excellence in undergraduate teaching. So Mr. Rawls remembers the faculty, the professors that had an impact on him when he was a student at Texas Tech. The exciting part about this new program is I think these will be the largest teaching awards granted anywhere in the state of Texas. For the full-time faculty, it will be 2 awards of $20,000 each. And for the part-time instructors and doctoral students, be 2 awards of $5,000 each. So I'm so excited to be able to host that program within our college, but also I'm very excited about the recognition that will provide to our instructors and our faculty who have been doing such great work in the undergraduate classroom. And I think it will really encourage and motivate faculty to continue to do that great work. Business faculty are a little competitive, so I think that's not a bad thing. So I'm so grateful for Mr. Rawls, to Mr. Rawls for making this possible for the college. He came to us with that idea, so our debt of gratitude to him continues. So let me move on here to some of the questions. A couple of more general questions that I wanted to tackle before we move to some of the staff members. There was a question about study abroad and when will study abroad return? We had our leadership council meeting yesterday, and our director of study abroad basically said, I wish I knew. We were ready to launch some study abroad programs this summer. Some of you may know that I think it was 2 days ago, the State Department posted quite a few do not travel guidelines for additional countries. One was Costa Rica, where we have a campus. We were planning to leave on a trip there May 16th. Now the State Department is saying do not travel. So what I can tell you is we are doing the best we can to prepare to get students abroad as soon as we believe it's safe for them to do so, safe for Texas Tech to sponsor a trip. So we are poised and ready to go. We are waiting right now to find out what the university's response will be to these additional do not travel guidelines. So we're ready to go. Another question is about how does the Honors College interact with the Rawls College of Business? And the Honors College is tremendous asset for Texas Tech University. Any student that is admitted to the Honors College has an academic major. And I think about 15% of the students in the Honors College are business majors, which I think is terrific. What we do is we work very closely with the Honors College to offer honors sections of business classes so that business students can graduate with their Honors College designation. And if you have follow-up questions about that, I think Adrian could follow up on that. But we work very closely with the Honors College and consider them a great recruiting tool for students to Texas Tech. Let's see, another question was, is Rawls considering adding a leadership initiative to its program for all business school majors? The point was a number of business schools have done that. I think that's a great question. We currently have a small leadership program, the Scoville Business Leaders Program, that has about 60 students in it at a time. And I understand that's not what this question is about. I think one of the things that I'm hearing from students and that we would like to do going forward is create more of a first year experience for business students. We have reinstituted, some of you who are alums may remember taking an introduction to business class. I see Julie's nodding anyway. That course had gone away. I brought it back because I think it's important for first year business students to have some way to connect with Rawls. And what I would like to do is build on that course to establish more of a first year experience. And I think that gives us the opportunity then to build onto that, a leadership program that would follow students through all of their years at Texas Tech. So I'm not sure who asked that. I guess Julie Doss can tell me who asked that question, and I'd be happy to follow up with you more specifically on that if you have ideas. We did have one question about the graduate programs, and that is, how is the STEM MBA different from the regular MBA? I won't go into the whole state of MBA programs globally, but most of our MBA offerings are either part-time or online. And we have one full-time, daytime MBA program, and that is the STEM MBA. And the students we attract into the STEM MBA program are students who have STEM backgrounds. So they are not business undergraduates, but they're students who have STEM backgrounds who are marrying engineering and business, for example. We have a number of medical students and allied health students that are in the STEM MBA, completing that the year before they go to medical school. So it's designed for students with STEM backgrounds, and it's a full-time, daytime program. The other offerings we have, as I mentioned, are designed for people who are working full-time. And so that's why they're evening and or weekend and online programs. So that's the big difference there. I think I will hand it at this point over to Madison to talk a little bit about scholarships and opportunities that students have to engage with other students.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I had a couple of questions I was going to answer that were submitted. One was about opportunities are there for students to meet other students. Obviously, in the past year, that's been a little bit more challenging as there's been a lot of restrictions in place on campus as far as being required to meet on campus. Can you have a room? Organizations did still do things. They tried to do virtual events. And so there was still some involvement this semester. However, as Dean Williams pointed out for this incoming fall, as we kind of plan for kind of that return to a 100% normal, we foresee student organizations being able to go back to their kind of traditional way of having their meetings and their socials. And I really love the student groups that we have at the College of Business because there are some general groups that any business major can join. There's some co-ed fraternities, there's some honor societies, There's a women in business organization. There's some multicultural student groups that any student can join. And then we also have some major specific organizations. So there's an accounting leadership council. There's a business valuation club. There's a tech marketing association. So for every major, there's a certain organization and also some general groups. So great ways for students to get plugged in. We encourage our students to get involved in one of those academic groups. And then across Tech's campus, there's over 500 groups. I mean, you name it. There's fraternities, sororities, there's church groups, there's political minded groups, there's a chess club, lots of ways for students to kind of find their niche and kind of meet people in that regard. We also do something called Rawls Day. It happens about the third week of school in the fall semester. That's when all of our student groups and some of our departments are out promoting what they do, the opportunities that students have to get involved. So, you can kind of point your students to keep that event earmarked. It's a great way to kind of see what the different student organizations are. Rawls Day, that'll happen about the third week of classes in the fall semester. There's another question about Rawls scholarships are available for students. We have a number of different scholarships. A lot of students might get a scholarship as an incoming student through our merit scholarship program. There's both a freshman merit scholarship program and a transfer merit scholarship program. There's also some other university scholarships that students can apply for every year. Deadline is always February 1st for those kind of general university scholarships. And then at the College of Business, we have some scholarships for each program. So the management department has some scholarships, the accounting department has some scholarships. And I believe our number this past year was $1.5 million of scholarship given out to College of Business students, which is pretty cool. So the website is great. It lists all the different scholarship opportunities for our students, deadlines, how to apply, all of that. So point your students to our website to look at the scholarships and kind of see what the requirements are and deadlines for each of those. I had another question about how can a student get into the Rawls College of Business? I guess we'll first start with an incoming student who's not at Texas Tech yet. There's kind of two routes. If you guys are familiar, when we started for fall 2020, Texas Tech University adopted a test optional admissions option, meaning you don't have to take an ACT or SAT requirement. So Texas Tech is still optional for fall 2021 and will also be test optional for fall 2022. So a student can apply to Texas Tech with or without an ACT or SAT test score. If a student applies to Tech with a test score, they kind of go the more traditional route for us determining admission. It's basically a scale. It's our assured admission criteria to the university, a combination of their class rank and then their test score. For instance, if I'm in the first quarter of my class, my high school graduating class, with a 1200 on my SAT, I'm automatically admitted to Texas Tech, and I'm also in the College of Business. So if your students apply with a test score, they follow that assured admission criteria for admission to the College of Business. If a student does not apply with the test score, they kind of go through two review processes. The first review process is with our main admissions office. They are deciding yes or no to Texas Tech as a whole. They then come to our review process where we are not determining admission to Tech or not, just admission to the College of Business or not. We look a lot at their high school grades, particularly the math and English grades that they have, but also reading their essays and letters of recommendation, whatever else the students have given us for their admissions application. We kind of do a holistic review process for students who did not apply with the test score to determine if they're in the College of Business or if they go to what we call our Explore Business and Industry program, which is kind of a pre-track for a student not initially admitted to the College of Business. So that's kind of how it works for incoming students. As far as students who are currently at Texas Tech, if they wish to transfer into the College of Business, we require 15 hours and a 2.75 Texas Tech GPA. If they've met that, they are good to go to transfer in and become a business major. A lot of details and situations are different from student to student, and some high schools don't rank. And so I know there's a lot of other factors there. So any questions, you can always direct students to reach out to me, and I can help them navigate all of that process. But that's all me. Those are all my questions. So.
Thank you, Madison. Madison does a great job. Some of you probably met him. I saw a shout out in the chat, so I know some of you have met Madison. He does a great job with tours and incoming students, and I think this is part of being part of the Rawls Parents Council and being part of this town hall. I mean, now you've met Madison, and if you have a younger child or friends who are interested in Texas Tech, reach out to Madison, and we can make a tour available to you. So Madison, thanks for everything that you do. Now I'd like to hand it over to Adrian for some questions related to advising mostly.
Yes. Okay, so the first question that I got was, what support services are in place for students who are struggling academically? There are lots of support services. So I always tell students and parents, if your student is struggling academically, their first call needs to be to their academic advisor. In this office, we have pretty in-depth conversations about what's going on. Is it that they're struggling academically, or there may be outside circumstances that need to be addressed? We have this resource document that we go over with the student, everything from tutoring, academics, career, health, legal. We have the counseling center that we refer students to, and there is also an office on campus that is in charge of student success and retention. They meet with students and talk about time management, all different options. So if students take advantage of the resources, we can get them recovered academically. The second question, what steps are you taking to ensure that students receive mental health care? Once again, if we get a referral from a faculty member or a student that they are struggling with mental health, we will call them, bring them in, do what we need to do, and make sure that they have the correct information. Sometimes we will walk them over to the counseling center or do follow-ups, but all of that information is available to them so that we can make sure that they're taken care of.
Adrian, I'd like to just make a comment there if I could.
Okay.
It has been an all hands on deck situation. I think the faculty and the staff and the administrators in the college have been attuned to what is going, as much as we can, to what is going on with our students. I know many faculty were concerned about the online environment because it's harder to check in with students, but they've been making an effort. So I want to especially thank Adrian and her team and everybody else on the call, and let you know that that has been a priority of the college. I've taken calls from students on a Sunday afternoon. I don't have anybody to talk to. We've all tried to be there, and it's taken a toll on the staff especially, but it's our number one priority. So if you have any concerns about that, as Adrian said, reach out to their advisor. If it's something that you want to contact me about or Adrian about, please do that too, because we want to be sure that students are getting the support they need.
For sure. The next question, what steps do advisors take to see students in person? We have 8 advisors. They are available in person, by phone, email. We do Zoom appointments. However, students need to see us, we get them in. So if they want to meet with us in person, we're here in the building 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. For the different majors in the Rawls College of Business, could you address the GPA requirement? Yes. So to be a Rawls College of Business student and to stay a Rawls College of Business student, you must maintain a 2.75. We have 2 programs that their process is a little bit different. For energy commerce, they require a 3.0 tech GPA, and all of your lower division coursework must be completed. And then supply chain management has an application process. So they don't nail down a specific GPA. There's a few things that they look at, but overall, the biggest thing is the 2.75 GPA. And then the last question I got was, is calculus required for all business degrees? Yes, we require Business Cal 1, 2, and Business Stats. So those are the 3 math courses that we require for our BBA. So, Any other
Yeah.
questions? We're going to wait till the end. Hand it over to Barry.
Just to say that was very efficient, Adrian. And I think we're doing a good job of keeping up with the chat too. So, and I would also like to say that just so you know, the dedication of our staff. There were several folks who had specific questions related to a particular student or situation. Adrian has already reached out to them to respond to those specific questions. So when I think of Adrian and her staff, it sounds crazy to say that, you know, they take a personal interest in 4,600 students, but they do. They really do.
Yeah.
So thank you, Adrian.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. And Barry, you're up. I think it's not surprising. A lot of people had questions about careers and jobs, especially as we've moved through the pandemic.
True. Yes. All the parents want to know where their money's going and how's this going to benefit. So, yes. So we are in the Rawls College. We are the only college on campus who is completely independent and completely staffed to run our own career center. There is a campus university career center, but we as a college have a full staff of people in here who really just work with the students in Rawls. We have 6 of us in here right now, hoping to add a 7th, just because, you know, as the student count grows, we want to make sure we give a good personal attention to the students. We have over 5,000 employers that are in our database that are posting jobs with us or recruiting with us. I think it would be best. I direct you also to our website for some of these questions I'm going to answer, because the list of things that we have available for students is just a lot longer than what I could mention in this. It would just kind of start to get overwhelming. But our website is rawlscmc.com, stands for Career Management Center. And if you go there, underneath the video, there are a few tabs: employer resources, student resources, and placement are the most relevant there. And in the student resources, it will list most, if not all, of the things that we have available for students. That includes our career coaching. We have several certified career coaches in here. Our resume and cover letter advice. We have 2 people in the office right now who work specifically with resumes. All students have to have an approved resume before they can apply for jobs on our system. Mock interviews, social media profile reviews, all of our workshops that we've done in the past on personal branding, networking, how to succeed at the career fair. There's just a really long list of things that we provide to the students. And then we just kind of each semester cycle through the ones that seem to be relevant at that time and try to keep it fresh for them. But that's either in person. We also post those on our YouTube site. We have Instagram account, Facebook account, things like that we try to keep it in front of them as much as possible. And we try to get employers involved in these things as many times as we possibly can. So we have a lot of good partners. We have a corporate sponsor program, so those folks are real involved. But we also have other employers who just want to be involved, and we allow them to do these workshops or work with us on the workshops to stay involved, so students don't just hear it from us, but they also hear it from people in the industry. We have a career fair each semester. During COVID, we even had those held virtually. We roughly have about 120 to 140 employers that will show up at each one of those, and typically over 1,000 students. So it's a big event that is held at the Civic Center downtown. We have an etiquette dinner the night before the career fair each semester. We hire a professional etiquette presenter to come in. We offer participation with employers. So there'll be 1 to 2 employer representatives at each table with 6 to 8 students. And it's a live action thing. So we serve the dinner, and you know there's the whole wait staff and everything. It feels like a real business dinner, and they're engaging with the employers. And then at certain intervals, the presenter will come on and say, okay, now here's how you do this, or here's how you use this fork, or here's what's appropriate. So they get interaction with the employer, and they also get a good lesson on how to act at a business dinner or an event like that. So and that's all free to the students. Everything that we do is free to the students. So we make sure that they get involved in as many possible things as they can with employers, and then also get the information they need before they graduate. So that was what a lot of the questions that I received is what are the things that we do? Also, a lot of questions about job placement rating. We are currently at 91.5% of our students, undergraduate students, have received a job within 6 months of graduation. That's the standard time that All Career Services uses to see when these folks get employed. I'm happy to say, as I look back at my chart here, we have not been below 90% since December 2015. So we have exceptionally high placement rates. Even during COVID, at our worst time, the May graduates dropped to 90.6%. So it still didn't drop below 90% even during COVID. So happy to say that the resources we provided seem to be providing them a lot of opportunity. We currently have over 1,500 active jobs in our system just for this semester. And as of yesterday, 481 internships still active. And considering that we're at the end of the semester, a lot of those jobs have already come down. So that number was even higher during the heat of recruiting season. So plenty of opportunity for your students. As long as they use the resources, come and see us. We are available Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Let's see, another question. Which degree has the highest placement? Again, you'll be able to see that if you look at that placement tab. I have every semester detailed out. So you'll see any kind of fluctuations, how it went up or down. That's available to you. I would say some of the strongest are supply chain students, typically stick at 100%. At COVID, I think we had 1 or 2 students that didn't get a job, so that dropped around the 95% range. But other than that, every semester has been 100%. Accounting is always solid at about 94 to 96%. Energy commerce is always solid. But again, none of these majors are dropping below anything that would be a concern. They're still middle to upper 80%, even at their lowest points. So you really can't go wrong with any of the majors that are in the College of Business. They're strong opportunities for your students.
Hey, Barry, could I jump in here a second? Because there's just, since you're talking about placement, there's a question that came up in the chat about graduate placement.
Okay.
And what services your office provides to graduate students.
Sure. So STEM MBA is our full-time program. We are currently at 84.6% of those students. The numbers for graduate students are actually evaluated on a 3 months post-graduation basis. And that's just the industry standard. The national organizations determine those things. We don't. So those folks are still a little more heavily weighted in the COVID pullback. So that's why their numbers aren't quite as high. But still 84.6% is an extremely good number for them. The MS accounting program is traditionally 100% across the board. Actually, as I look, I don't see one semester that wasn't. So 90% for MS data science, 93.8% for MS finance. So all strong as well. We do have one person in our office who is dedicated solely to the graduate students, graduate and non-traditional students. So they have a very one-on-one personal basis. He has a long counseling background in the academic world. So his method to work with these students is very much sit down, talk for 45 minutes, really get to know them and make it a very personal experience for them. So all of those the things that I've listed before that we do for undergrad, they are also available for our graduate students. And like I said, it's very personal and one-on-one for them. I had a question about
Barry. I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt again because the question just came up. When should students begin pursuing internships? Students should be in the Career Management Center from day one.
Correct.
This is an incredible set of resources. This office is funded through a business student fee. You and your students are paying for this service. And when I bump in, the rare occasions where I bump into someone who says, my student hasn't found a job, I say, well, did they work with the Career Management Center? And they'll say, what? What's that? So it is never too soon.
Yeah, and we are literally the first door on the right as soon as you enter the building, so it's not hard to find.
Sorry to interrupt your flow, but I think that's an important point. Yeah.
Yes, and it's important to know that there are a lot of these firms that, even if it's not an internship that a freshman or sophomore would be qualified for, a lot of them have these early adopter programs where they want you to come out for 2 to 3 weeks in the summer and really just get to know them. It's kind of a way for them to cherry pick the top students. So that's why I tell students, even as a freshman, take a look and see what's in there, because there are opportunities there. Full-blown internships are obviously going to be more heavily weighted for the students between sophomore and junior year and junior and senior year when they've got more experience. But there are opportunities for every level. Should the student bring a suit or dress clothes with them to campus? How often would they need them? We do require the students to wear a business suit to the career fair, and we also require it when they do on-campus interviews. So yes, they will need one at some point. They may not need it on day one, but if they're coming back and forth from home, it would certainly be beneficial for them to bring that with them for our more professional events. Our employers are impressed that we require our students to dress for success, and that's just a reputation that we want to have, that our students are ready to go to work. And then the last question that I had, how will graduates during the next 2 years be evaluated by employers in light of the market downturn and given early career job opportunities are not as plentiful, coupled with the much more of the coursework of these two classes have been taught, the junior and senior classes have been taught on a remote basis. And as I said, during COVID, we didn't see much of a downturn. We saw 1% downturn with our job placement. So we weren't affected by it like many other industries were. So we haven't seen any downturn at all for our employers. Now that we're coming out of COVID, they're excited. They're coming back. I don't think that there are any major issues that we're going to experience in the College of Business with our job placement rate because of COVID. How can they set themselves apart if they didn't get to do an internship during that time? And it's really just talking about what you did. What did you do to pass the time? Did you volunteer? Did you work full time in your regular job? What kind of initiative did you take when times got tough? Or did you just sit at home and do absolutely nothing and give up? And of course, I would hope that that's not the case, but really just explaining what you did to get through that time, how you bettered yourself personally is also a good answer. And employers understand that. They're very understanding right now that it was tough for them. It was tough for students. What did everybody do? And it's really a conversation of learning what your character is at that point.
Barry, I'm not sure. I interrupted you, so I'm not sure if you skipped this question on purpose, but there was a question about average starting salaries.
No, I didn't skip it on purpose. I guess I just missed that one right there. So yes, the average starting salary for undergraduate students in August 2020 was $52,292, which was a slight downturn from our normal, which is around $54,000. But during COVID, that didn't surprise me at all to see the average drop just a little bit as budgets got a little tighter. The average starting salary for STEM MBA is $59,444. And then MS accounting, $56,421. And again, all of these are listed on the placement tab on the rawlscmc.com if you want more details and see how they've moved each semester.
So Barry, you moved very quickly over the description of moving to a virtual career fair.
Mm-hmm.
So I wondered if you could just take a few minutes to talk about what you and your team did related to that, and how virtual recruiting seems to be playing more of a role from the employer side as well, and how you're responding to that.
True. Yes. Okay. So like I said, normally we have an in-person fair. It's just pretty much what you would think, people are coming up, shaking hands at a table. During COVID, we couldn't do that. So we use a system called Handshake. Handshake is what holds all of our job opportunities. It's how students register for events. It's how employers interact. for to set up the interview times and the schedules and whatnot. So everything we have is contained in Handshake. Fortunately, Handshake really jumped on quickly when COVID hit, and they developed an online version of a career fair, which to best describe it, it's kind of like a Zoom interaction, but you could either be one-on-one 10-minute interactions with an employer and a student, or they had the opportunity to do group chats that were 30 minutes long. And the student would just kind of go on there and make their schedule based on, what time they had in the day versus which employers were available. And it was all controlled in one spot. It was a really, really successful event for both of the semesters. We had really high engagement, and it filled the gap. It's still nice to have that personal touch where you're going to meet, and I'm happy to go back to that here in the fall. But there was such a favorable turnout from employers that typically can't go to every school. Obviously, they have to pick some of their core schools. But given that there was no travel involved and it was an easy scheduling system, we were able to pick up some employers that typically wouldn't have been able to do some travel and whatnot. So we're going to continue that alongside the face-to-face career fair once we go back to that in the fall. So there'll be a face-to-face career fair on September 29th, and then 2 to 3 weeks later, we'll also have a virtual career fair for those who either want to come back or those who couldn't travel or whatever their case may be. So that's going to be an option going forward. And we want to make sure that we have every opportunity available for our students.
Yeah, Barry and his team were very excited because they had this virtual career fair model down for the spring, and it was scheduled for the week of the Texas snowstorm.
Yeah, so we thought, you know what, no problem. We've already done this in the fall, no big deal. We're ready to go. I'm glad we have a virtual outlet. And the weather was coming, but we thought, that's okay. We'll be fine because we're online. It doesn't affect travel. But then the power basically shut off in the entire state, and it was still a problem.
Yeah. But you responded very well, did a great job. So, it's good for students to have that experience because things don't often work as planned. So I had not introduced earlier. So Barry, anyway, thank you to you and your team again for all of the adjustments you've made to support our students during always, but especially during the pandemic. And I think that you and your team have helped to soothe a lot of nerves as well when students find out that, yes, they do have an internship and yes, they do have a job. So thank you for that. Earlier, there were two people I did not introduce. I would like to introduce Laura Sanders. Laura is, I think, technically our Director of Alumni Relations, but she takes the nurturing of alumni very seriously. And so she does a lot of work with our student orgs and events on campus. So Laura, thank you for that. And then also Associate Dean for Graduate Programs and Research is on the call. I wasn't sure that he was going to be able to join us, Mayuk Das. And he has jumped into the chat to answer some questions about the STEM MBA program. So let me ask at this point, if anyone has a question they would like to share, raise your hand, turn your mic on, ask us a question, but also open up to any of the staff who may have something else they'd like to add at this point.
Hi, I was going to type this in, but I'll just talk instead.
Yeah, great.
My daughter, she's a first-year student, started in the fall, but she will be taking, she's a little bit ahead, so she'll be taking some junior level courses in the fall of this year. And trying to guide her to get more information on her degree plan as a whole. She's kind of going semester to semester, which worries me. Thoughts, advice on, I assume she'd go to her advisor, but trying to gently nudge her.
Yes, she needs to meet with her academic advisor. And I was going to say, if you privately want to let me know who she is, I can gently nudge her as well, or reach out to her and say, hey, I've noticed that you don't have an appointment. What can I help you with? And kind of sometimes start that conversation on our end too.
Thank you. That would be great.
Yes.
And I see another hand up there. Is it Jimmy?
Yes, ma'am. My question is about the internships. We live in Austin, and do you try to schedule those to where if they come back for the summer, that you have opportunities available for internships where they come from?
Yeah, there are internships available pretty much anywhere in the state and often outside of the state as well. So we don't just go try to select these. We reach out to employers, and like I said, we have over 5,000 in the system now. So word of mouth is really giving us more than what we even need to go pursue. But we have opportunities pretty much wherever they want to go. So if they need to go back home to make it a little more affordable to live, they shouldn't have any problem finding that.
Thank
And
you.
if there's a specific location that they're looking for that we don't have, they can come speak with us and we can do what we can to go find something out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Barry, because another good thing about starting early, if you say, if I want to be in New York City, those are conversations that we have with employers and alumni in New York. How can we encourage students to pursue opportunities in New York? So the sooner they get started, the more options they'll have for what they want. The more time they'll have to craft an internship or an opportunity to their goals and what they want to do.
The other thing I wanted to bring up to that question. So my name's Sean Walsh. I'm a senior vice president at Dell Technology. So we provide internships for up to 100 folks across the country. And that question is a good one about proximity. I mean, we will be doing it virtually, unfortunately, this cycle again. Hopefully we'll revert back to in person, but that gives folks options that you don't necessarily have to be in Austin to do this internship. So we'll have interns that go back to wherever they're from and just do the internship virtually. So that adds an element, a good element to the virtual part. So don't have to actually be physically in Austin to do so.
Well, I wanted to give Dennis Arnett, great to see you, Sean, by the way. Always good to see you. I wanted to give, Dennis, is there anything you'd like to add related to undergrad programs? I know that Adrian and Barry have done a great job, but I didn't know if you had anything else you'd like to share.
No, but I mean, nothing specific, but the idea of just making sure that your students, we are here for them. People in the college care about their success. And I know it's hard for students, especially first-year students, to reach out, but we're here and we have a lot of resources available from student groups like Madison suggested to our advisors, as Adrian suggested, and our placement from Barry. Those are just some of the resources we have. And we have a lot more resources in the college for them. All they have to do is come and ask, and we're here.
I see, Adrian, I see a question came through on the chat related to double majors. And do we work with other degree programs to assure the student's success? So could you speak to that briefly, Adrian, how it works for, I guess, double majors that are outside of the business school?
Yeah, so this specific program is actually through architecture, but what I do is I run a report and find who they are and reach out to them just to ensure that they meet all of the business requirements. Once again, I would, if they're concerned about meeting both sets of degree requirements, have them email me, and I have a contact over in the College of Architecture that I can set them up with so that nothing gets missed. But I do encourage the students to visit with both college advisors, but sometimes they will just prefer to work with one, and that's fine too.
And Mayuk, is on the call, and I would just like to give Mayuk a chance to. Oh, there's another question. If a student double majors, is the business portion online only? No. They would have, I mean, it may have been the case that it was mostly online over the past year, but that's not the case. The online only program is a business minor. That's offered completely online, just so we can respond to demand more effectively. But the business major is, double majors are treated the same as regular majors. Am I right, Adrian? Okay, it's good. Mayuk, I would like to give Mayuk a chance to just say a little bit about our graduate programs. We are always interested in recruitment, so we want you to be thinking about your students' graduate degree as well as potentially your own graduate degree, because we have made it convenient for everyone to get a graduate degree from Rawls. So Mayuk, would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you, Margaret, and good afternoon, everyone. By now, I think it's already good afternoon. So I will talk in two parts. First, I will talk for your student if they want to do an MBA or any kind of graduate programs after the undergraduate. You may have seen or heard about the offerings we have, but in general, typically what we recommend is, if students, especially for business, if they're interested in adding some more knowledge, we offer 3 master's programs out beyond the MSA program, which is the MS in accounting. So we offer the MS in data science, MS in marketing research and analytics, and then MS in finance. Among those programs, MS in data science and MS in marketing research and analytics, we have an online offering. And MSM marketing and research analytics is purely online, and data science has a face-to-face and online offering at the same time. So that being said, we have seen students who will get a job and they want to kind of pursue something that will help them at their workplace. Definitely having an online, on a program along with their work and working will definitely benefit them. So that's one angle. Apart from that, we also offer our STEM MBA, which is really for the STEM focused students. But if your student is an MIS major, as per the State Department, it falls under the STEM. So if your student is in MIS, then definitely they can consider doing a STEM MBA. And sometimes actually, we have a program called undergraduate to graduate, where we allow students to start taking graduate level courses after they complete 90 hours or more of undergraduate classes. So that's one thing you may consider is, they can start early if you're very focused. If they're not sure what they want to do, please tell them to contact me. I'll be happy to talk to them and kind of help them to kind of with their career. The other side of this is, you may have heard Dean Williams mentioning that we have actually expanded in different locations. Currently, we offer our professional MBA program, and really it's an executive MBA program, but the way we, in terms of value and things, but the price-wise, it's really at a professional level. But that being said, we offer that at Rockwall and Marble Falls, which is outside our Lubbock. In Rockwall, Texas, and in Marble Falls, we offer the general business and big data strategy. It's actually a very, I would say, one of the state-of-the-art concentrations out there, because we teach classes like, how do you adopt artificial intelligence in your business? How to make sense of your data and make decisions. So we offer courses which are, I would say, important for any kind of managers dealing with data. You don't have to be tech savvy or technical in your process, but as managers, as you know, many of you deal with making decisions. So these programs we offer, especially the courses we offer in these programs, really help you to make better decisions. Along with that, in the Lubbock campus, we offer the energy business concentration and the general business. So if you're in energy in an area, or if you know someone who is in an energy industry and they're thinking of adding an MBA to their curriculum, to their career, I think that would be very, very beneficial. So really, if you think about, we have these offerings really, widening our net. We, especially at the graduate level, we do a lot of understanding of what the industry wants, and we adapt and change our curriculum based on that. So we try to make sure that our program is always up to date with the needs of the industry. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayuk. I just want to thank each of you for putting your trust in us. And I hope that you agree with me about how dedicated and committed the staff that you've heard from this morning are to your students and our students. I couldn't be prouder of the work that the administrators and the staff on this call do for the college, and we're here for the students. So there is not a person in the building who does not understand that serving your students are our number one reason for being in existence. So I guess I'd like to hand it back to Julie Doss and Julie Meyer. If there's anything else you'd like to put in the chat, we'll stay and respond, or if you have put your hand up, we still have time to call. But I'd like to turn it over to Julie Doss and Julie Meyer about what the next steps might be, what people on this call might expect to hear related to the Rawls Parents Council.
Julie Doss, do you want to kind of say a few things?
Sure. Yes, I just want to thank everyone for attending, and I hope you got the link that I put in the chat earlier. I'll put it in again as soon as I finish talking. If you're interested in joining the Rawls Parents Council and you want to sign up for the Texas Tech Parents Council Ambassador Training, I think that's the next best step. All of you will receive an email from us with a copy of this recording. And as Dean Williams mentioned, we're working on a website to have some more information available and at your fingertips. If you have ideas on how to further flesh out this program, Julie Meyer and I are completely open. My email, I'll put it in the chat when I put that registration link. But that's all I have, Julie Meyer.
Perfect. I ditto all of that. We're just so excited about our first town hall, and we're so excited about everyone that's on this call in joining the Parents Council. And I will also make sure that Julie gets my email in there for any questions, and we are completely open to ideas, thoughts, and ways to make this Parents Council a wonderful organization for the Rawls College of Business and Texas Tech.
Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate your time today.